Review our vocabulary words for this week. And we're going to start off with a word that's actually going to help us with social studies coming up too. We're getting ready to talk about the 13 colonies. And our first word is colony. So a colony is a group of people, animals, or plants that live close together. In social studies, how we're going to use the word, it's a group of people who settle in a new land but still have ties to the country that they came from. So, for example, our English settlers, our English colonists, come and create settlements in the New World in North America, but they still are tied to their home country, which is England. Compensate just means to pay somebody for the work that they do. So, for example, if you were to mow your neighbor's lawn and they pay you for it, they would compensate you for that work. Deposit, it could mean to lay down, or it also could mean to put money into a bank account or to give as a partial payment. It doesn't have to just do with money. For example, it could be you could deposit a seed into the soil, but you could also deposit money into your bank account. Fascinate. Fascinate means to attract, to strongly hold the interest of. Whatever your hobbies might be, or you might have things that fascinate you. You may hear the word fascinating. That ties to the word fascinate as well. Feeble. If you're feeble, that means that you have little strength, that you're weak. So maybe you have the flu and you might be very feeble at that time when you're not feeling well. Formal. Whenever I think of formal, I always think of fancy. So that means following rules or customs, often in an exact or proper way. So being very proper with someone or in a certain situation, or it might be suitable for events where strict standards of dress and behavior are expected. So you may go to a formal party, for example, if you've ever heard of prom in high school. That's a formal event, meaning that everybody gets super dressed up. Frigid, meaning very cold. Unfortunately, we're starting to get closer and closer to that time of year where it's going to become frigid in the mornings especially. Frigid could also describe how a person is acting. So if they're acting unfriendly towards you, you might say that they're acting very frigid. Harsh, meaning rough and unpleasant, not suitable for living. The desert may be described as harsh. How a person is acting could be described as harsh if they're being unpleasant. Huddle. When I hear the word huddle, I normally think of a football huddle or a sports huddle, but it really just means to crowd together. It could also mean that you kind of huddle together. You might pull your legs into your chest and pull close to your body. That would also be a huddle as well. Remote, this isn't the type of remote that's going to change your channel. This means far away in a very distant manner. So you might talk about a remote location, so someplace very, very far away, or someplace that's not around a lot of other things. Very remote, very far, distant. Resemble just means to look similar to. So you might resemble someone in your family. You might resemble, or you might know somebody that resembles a celebrity. Resemble just means to look similar to. Rigid means very stiff and unbending, or it could mean very strict. So, for example, you might have rigid rules at home, things that you know that you cannot do or that you should be doing. It also might mean something that's very stiff or unbending. Solitary means being alone, lacking others, being the only one. Substantial. Substantial means really strong or solid or in great value. So it might be a substantial amount of, maybe you ate a substantial amount of food on Thanksgiving. And then if you ate a substantial amount of food, you might be waddling. Waddling means to make short steps, swaying from side to side. Normally I think of a duck when I think of something that's waddling, and actually my daughter is kind of doing that as she walks right now. She's kind of waddling. So you guys can rewatch this video if you'd like to go back through them, or if you want to take a minute, you can study these words however you want. We're going to have 2 weeks, so we'll have this week and next week to study these before we do our quiz.